The following is a list of Moors who have been kidnapped and are being held for a demand of income. The demand of income is being made against the family as well as through fraudulent submissions of documents alleging that they are caring for the people in some sort of long-term care fashion. These Moors have been kidnapped literally off the street by employees of various corporations that are guised as counties, cities, towns, township, boroughs. These names that we have all been mentally conditioned to believe are government are not. They are exactly what they say they are. They are municipal corporations, and as such, they, if you do the research, you will find that they are foreign corporations on American soil. Therefore, they do not have standing nor jurisdiction to make a demand of income or even bring a claim against the Aboriginal indigenous people or any people on American soil, this making their actions criminal. However, as Moors, we must bring these crimes to the forefront via civil complaints against these unalienable constitutional treaty-secured rights of the people, Aboriginal indigenous Moors of this land. If the municipal corporation has been provided, then we reference that along with the union state. If we don't have the municipal corporation where the employee works that actually did the kidnapping, then we just reference the union state that is bound and obligated to protect the people from foreign and domestic invasion. This list comprises Moors who have been kidnapped and are being held hostage by employees of various corporations on American soil, which is a violation of the American Constitution 1791, and it is a treaty violation, being that we are talking about Moorish Americans, Aboriginal indigenous to this land, who have been kidnapped by employees of foreign corporation on American soil. This making this an international issue because you have two nations with one nation warring against another. Therefore, this is an international issue. If you have a family member near or far within your immediate family or one of the family that you know and you would like them added to this list, please send an email to mhhseyeswideopen@gmail.com. In the subject line, put Kidnap Moor, and please provide us with their free national appellation, the municipal corporation that the employee is operating through that kidnapped them, along with the union state that this corporation is in purview to. So with that, we start out with our sister RVBey, kidnapped through a joint venture between Mantis Corporation and Shelby Corporation under the purview of Tennessee, Daoud Il under the purview of Arkansas, Amir Moslemin Il Kusu Ra Kushbey under the purview of Missouri, Asar Patah Amin Ra Bey under the purview of Ohio, Jeremy Paler Il, Terry Thorne Bey, J. McCall Brooks Bey, Joseph Kanaday Il, Kush Amir Bunch Il, Emmanuel Billings Bey, Yassin Khalik Alamin Il, Michael Curry Bey, all under the purview of North Carolina, Noble Crisco Il under the purview of New Jersey, Messiah Aziz Il and Crystal Il, both kidnapped through a joint venture between Mercer Corporation, Freehold Corporation, and Trenton Corporation under the purview of New Jersey. We're still waiting on an update regarding baby Patricia Bey, kidnapped by Atlantic Corporation under the purview of New Jersey, Eldridge Terran Fisher Il, Marquis Sevion Il under the purview of Indiana, Solomon Il Bey and Mumi Abube under the purview of Texas, William Barrett Ill under the purview of Virginia, Bomani Abidwil Ill, kidnapped by Chesapeake Corporation under the purview of Virginia, RVBey under the purview of West Virginia, Thomas Lee Bay under the purview of California, Victor Eduardo Aguaye Juarez Ill, kidnapped by Harlem Corporation under the purview of Georgia, Natro Tahuti Ill, kidnapped by Benner Corporation under the purview of Pennsylvania, Rennie Bay, kidnapped by Hamilton Corporation under the purview of, Hamilton, Ontario Corporation under the purview, well, actually, it's Hamilton Corporation. State would be Ontario, and that's that would be a union state, and it's on American soil that is referenced as Canada. And last but not least, Brian George Mills Bay, kidnapped by the employees working through Glades Corporation under the purview of Florida. Thank you very much.
Islam, and welcome to MHHS Eyes Wide Open. This is your host, Anita L., along with my co-host, Lizraine Oliphil.
Peace and love, Anna E., my Cujo, Moors Worldwide. Thankful to be here.
Peace and love. RVBey.
Islam, peace and love to all.
And Cujo Adwa L.
Peace and love, Moors. Islam.
Big shout out to our family listening over there in Great Britain. Islam. Family listening, not in Great Britain. Let me correct myself. Family listening near Great Britain. Islam. Family listening near the corporate construct known as South Africa, Islam, Netherlands Corporation, Islam Brother Albert, Japan, Bangladesh, the Philippines, Panama, Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, Jamaica, the corporate construct known as Cuba, Venezuela, Brazil, Mexico, and to family that we have yet to connect with, chiming in, and big shout out to our callers. Thank you so much for calling in, filling up the phone lines before the broadcast even begins. Last week, I believe I mentioned that Bomani Bidwell, Bomani, I apologize, I think it's Bidwell Bay or Gill, I'm not quite sure, I don't have my notes in front of me, but he was liberated. I did announce that last week, and I haven't had a chance to update the Moors that are being held prisoner. I did want to make mention of that. And I think there was another, I believe there was some more to be added to the list, but I can't remember the name of it right now. So what I'm going to do is I remember one.
It's RVBey Sawithin out of Pennsylvania.
What's the title?
RVBey. Sawithin. I'm sorry. Out of
all right.
I apologize.
All right.
I see.
All right. So we'll definitely have to add him to the list, but the list is always being updated. So hopefully we'll be able to update that for next week's broadcast. Before we get started, there will not be a physical class at the National Theater near Harlem tomorrow because of the snowstorm. So we will not be there tomorrow. However, we will have live broadcast telephone, or I should say we will still broadcast tomorrow. It just will be over the internet and phone line. So as you know, class begins at 7:30. So just make sure and make a note of that. I'm sure if you're in the Northeast area, you will already know that there's no movement going on in the tri-state area. Actually, all the way up, I believe, through from the corporation known as Massachusetts, all the way down through, I believe, the corporation known as New Jersey, there is zero movement going on. And there was no movement going on today as the snow kept coming in. As people wished it on us, it came. And so there's a travel ban in effect. So because of that, none of the snow being moved at all. So movement will probably begin tomorrow to start clearing out much of the snow that fell. So there will be no physical class at the National Theater due to the weather conditions. But we will have a broadcast. So make sure and tune in tomorrow at 7:30. Also, for people who are looking for mail, that means the mail is delayed as well. As I said, there was zero movement today. That means we got no mail, we got no plowing. The only movement was the snow. We got plenty of snow. All right, so tonight's broadcast is actually to talk more about, there was a post that was put up or on the NHHS Eyes Wide Open Facebook page, and it was also published on the moorishnews.wordpress.com page. Anything that is on the NHHS Eyes Wide Open Facebook page going forward will be published on the moorishnews.wordpress.com website. So if you don't have Facebook, or if you feel like logging into Facebook to see anything, you can just go to moorishnews.wordpress.com. But there was something that was posted up there. And if you caught some of last Wednesday's broadcast, we talked about some very interesting things, and we want to continue that discussion today, also with some adding on of information, because the prophet, he said a lot of amazing and impacting things, and, just a few words. And so we need to really think. He said, if I can get you to thinking, you would free yourself. And he also said, I came to teach you to be yourself. So people need to be themselves and stop trying to be somebody else, whoever that somebody else might be. And also, he said there's a high probability that you will be tricked and put right back into place, either by some of your own or people that you think have good intentions for you and really don't. So today's broadcast is entitled, Who Are They Really? This is a question that is being asked to get you to think, who are they really? America is a continent. South Africa, Japan, Mexico, Cuba, Germany, Great Britain, etc., all corporations. Massachusetts, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, California, Texas, etc. are all corporations that agree to be governed by the supreme law of the land, the American Constitution, 1791. New York City, Los Angeles, Atlanta, Houston, etc. are all municipal corporations. None of these are landmass. None exist except on paper. No one can be a citizen of any, as all are corporations. All speak, act, and function according to the policies and procedures of their corporate policy under the strict guidelines, if enforced by the people, of the American Constitution, 1791. No flesh and blood being can be a citizen of any of these man-made entities. Nationality speaks only of bloodline, lineal descendants, of whom the Aboriginal indigenous people, modern Europeans, erroneously called white people, which is not a nationality. Therefore, the question you must ask yourself and stand on is, am I a human being or am I a corporation? Now, this thinking came to me as a result of last Wednesday's conversation. And one of the reasons, there's just so many reasons to put this on the table for thinking purposes, because it seems as though there's not enough people who are really thinking. And because you're not thinking, you're getting sucked into all manner of things. Namely, this whole birth certificate redemption thing that everybody is just obsessed about. And the amazing thing to me is that, and it really shouldn't be amazing, because you know what's happening today is not new. People ain't studying. The prophet said, think, think, think. People are not thinking. They're falling for anything and everything. Meanwhile, you got a few people saying, this is what the prophet wrote. Read it. Analyze it. Study it. And too many people, it's almost as if they're laughing. Hee hee ha ha. Well, I found something so much better, and you're just wasting your time. And it's a joke. Right?
Quick interjection.
What people need to here's people need to think about, all right? The birth certificate is just like the title, that the certificate of title that every so-called homeowner, who is nothing more than a leasing, gets. The birth certificate is very much just like the certificate of title that you get if you purchase an automobile. A certificate of anything simply means that there is an original, all right? But you have all of these people who are beating a path to every municipal corporation, and they're going and they're compromising themselves, showing documents that they say are not them to get a piece of paper that just proves that there is an original document somewhere, but this is not it. All right? And the reasons that they say they're doing this is so that this document can no longer be traded in the stock market. Yet none of these people are brokers and have a broker's license. So if it's traded for a known as Belgium, you're not going to have visibility to see what exactly is going on with this negotiable instrument that you think. You have now compromised yourself to obtain. Not to mention that unless you are literally holding the actual original document in your hand, you are not the holder in due course. Therefore, you have zero ability to prevent or even make any negotiation on behalf of the original document, because you simply have a certificate that says the original is somewhere. And many people compromising themselves because of lack of study, lack of thinking, and this never-ending chasing of the doggone. They're like dogs at a racetrack, always chasing after some bone. The prophet said, I come to teach you to be yourself. But people don't want to be themselves. He also said that there's going to be a lot of people that don't make this transition. You know, the more I learn and the more I see what is going on today is no different than Noah and the ark. Noah can be likened to the prophet. The prophet said, study, think for yourself, be yourself. Everybody was, but I got a better plan. I don't want to do all of that. I don't want to study. And so they didn't. Right? Just like with Noah. All of those people was told there's a flood coming. They laughed, oh, I got a better plan. I got a bad, my homeboy told me about this. I got this plan and that plan. And yet, when the waters came, everybody was banging on the boat. Let me in, let me in. It's too late. We tried to tell you to study. We tried to tell you to think for yourself. We tried to tell you to be yourself. You chose to do none of those things. And now the waters have come, and I can't open the door because then everybody will drown. The ones who heeded the warning as well as the ones who didn't. What's going on today is not new. It's been going on since Noah's Ark. People would rather be someone else and follow someone else rather than be themselves and follow the dictates of their own heart and soul. So I said all of this to hope that people will begin to think. The prophet said, hey, if I can just get you to think, maybe you do some studying. Maybe you'll find out that you can be yourself. 3 always the magic number. Maybe we should do more reading of the prophet's work and less listening to whoever is yapping in your ear. Islam? Are you?
Islam.
And 2 quick points. Right now, there are individuals in Canaan land who are renouncing their membership in Moorish Science Temple of America because of not studying and wanting easy way out. Not wanting to put the time in. Not wanting to take their 1,000 shots a day. And, you know, it comes back to what is your soul dictating? Like, forget about what people are doing, because your actions are based on states of your soul. So if you're doing something messed up with the birthright, what's that really saying about your being? for the individuals who are playing people with their birthright and the people who are getting played. Because the ones who are getting played, they don't get no mercy. You're just as stupid as the guy who decided to try to play you for your birthright in some way, shape, or form. And again, that's the judgment that you get for not listening to what Drew Ali said. He said study. If you study, you wouldn't get no problems with these crazy people. Right? And second thing, one of the Moors brought up to me today, we're just building, and he just brought up the fact that, you know, I was listening to some archives 4 years ago. You mean in 4 years people still don't authenticate the birth certificate? Just today we were talking about this. 4 years ago, there's MHHS classes about don't authenticate the birth certificate. And it's still an issue. So then, you know, it's just like it's not guns that kill people, it's people that kill people with guns. So it's what's up with these individuals. And then you'll realize that the ones who aren't on the right path, just like the mother's saying, are these same people from ancient days that weren't on the path. The same people. The ones who are on it are the ones who've been on it. Since the beginning of time, we've been on it. Right? Never slipped up. It's always fall right back on it. Right? The agreeable beings. And then the disagreeable ones who go against the grain. Willingly. And not the, you know, corporate grain. Go against the divine grain. That you better be flowing in line with the universe or you will be eliminated, whether it's by a colonizer or nature.
Mm-hmm.
And then it comes back again to what you know what being an active Moor is? Studying. An active Moor is one that studies, that keeps the cells of the brain active. They're not stagnant cells. The brains of the cells are working. The brains of the cells are getting oxygen because, you know, Joali told you, drink water and all that. It's not some secret stuff.
Wow.
And he put everything out there. So you know. Put everything out there. You know what I mean? If you're not drinking water, you're violating the prophet. How about that?
Word.
Because you're drinking water to keep your heart pure. You're not drinking water because you're thirsty or you know what I mean? Some type of, you know, alkaline water versus orange water. You're drinking water to keep your heart pure. You know, and that's why we're more scientists. Because this is not some stuff out of some book when somebody says study. That's why, even though he said study 3 times, and we stress that, he really said it 4 times, because he also said study yourself.
And that's the realest study right there.
And that's the real study. That's the study when you really, really, really know what's up.
Yeah.
And it's not a question that, you know what I mean, you know, am I a citizen of, how can a corporation make citizens?
Mm-hmm.
You may be an employee, but there's no way that you're a, you know, Canadian citizen if Canada's a corporation. If U.S. is a corporation, then you're not a U.S. citizen. You can't be, citizen doesn't even fit in the. You're not a citizen of McDonald's or Walmart or whatever if you have a membership there.
Mm-hmm.
Which even brings back to what we brought out with the new video about the NBA. With the NBA, they got their own constitution. So if the NBA has their own constitution, then that means anybody who's involved in that is part of that body politic. And you have to follow the NBA rules of whatever that they say. You know what I mean? And, you know, it might get in your face. You can say whatever you want, but trust me, you're going to get a $25,000 fine. You talk crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys could take all this stuff instead of you know, talking back or whatever. How about just leave and set up your own goddamn league and not have any issues with these colonizers being in your business? If you want to really take basketball serious for the younger generations to be somebody as far as a basketball or a entertainer or whatever, or, okay, well, how about set up your own stuff then? Can't even do that. Why? Because everybody thinks they know something, but nobody doesn't know what Noble Drew Ali brought. And they think when we bring it up that we're some religious whatever, Noble Drew Ali worship some guy, some dead guy and all that stuff, when, you know, again, just like Moses or Noah or Abraham or Joshua or Muhammad or Heru or whoever came and told these people that, you know, you guys are the gods and stuff like that, you playing around like you don't know what's up.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And again, like, if people are going to take the position of, instead of exercise what Noble Drew Ali brought them, they're gonna disconnect from what Noble Drew Ali brought them because, you know, there's 2 signatures on our membership form, so that means that we're holding people to adhesion contracts. But then they're going to go contract with a dissolved bankrupt entity with some dissolved bankrupt people to talk about their capturing some straw. And then that's more legit than what Noble Drew Ali brought. And people look at those people as credible, that they're going to give up their birthright. They're going to denationalize themselves and want to know why they're going to come back 2 years later crying about they want to join the temple back. And then we tell them, well, hey, you know, you got to make a video apology and letter apology, and, you know, you got to repent for your sins. Because why do you leave in the first place if you're going to come crawling back? Why you diss Noble Drew Ali if you're going to end up wearing a red fez in court, not no fez with onks and stuff like that, and talking about you're from some other planet? You just stick with what Noble Drew Ali brought. But with that, I yield the floor. Islam.
Islam. Yeah, well, I found that interesting in conjunction with many things as far as what you were talking about, as far as people, you know, turning their back. I know my mother went in on that lesson a while ago, as far as those who knew the truth and turned around, and that being like eternal damnation. And, you know, some people go through that. And I guess, you know, you got to leave people to their power to choose. It's a sad thing. I don't vouch for it. But, you know, there is ciphers out in the world who are like they want to be plugged back into the matrix. Because and it's, at this particular point, man, it's all about international law and the law of this land that we on, the American law. Now, in all of this adversity, right, Moors are nitpicking at each other and all of this, and I want to leave this because whatever. People make their own choices. But, you know, there's been groups that have been strategically planning and plotting, you know, in an adversary position against melanated people, specifically Moors, the true Al-Moroccans, right? And I find it interesting that it was, I don't know if you're familiar off top with the name Richard Spencer, the European dude, part of the quote the alt-right, alternative right movement. You know who I'm talking about? Well, he's one of these dudes who, you know, was talking about, you don't know? Okay. Well, I did a video with Blue Pill called Recapture Part 2, and they blocked that based off of this dude's footage, Richard Spencer, right? They blocked it because he basically has been a target, but he got punched in the face at Trump's inauguration. I don't know if y'all seen that footage. Did y'all see that? We got punched in the face at Trump. Okay. Well, anyway, this dude, he was a quote unquote what they called what the news is calling a white nationalist, but when you look at his website, he's talking about making betterment specifically for those of European descent. So he kind of like refers to himself as a European opposed to a white, but then he also says that to be white is to be a crusader. Like, so he's one of these dudes who was all for the Christian agenda, but he had an organization that was a 501c3, right? And they just stripped his 501c3 tax exempt status. Reason being, he was an open Trump supporter back in November 2016 Gregorian calendar. This dude had a meeting and he's like, "Hail Trump, hail victory, hail our people," you know, and he got a lot of brown shirt Nazi salutes for saying that, you know, and being as though he had arrangements under a 501c3, they stripped him because, among other things, because he's not supposed to have any type of political support or disdainment under a 501c3. So again, these are the telltale signs of those who are diverting away from the civic side, that, you know, they're compromised in certain aspects. So this same dude who was talking about, you know, he think everybody else is trash except Europeans. The Europeans stripped him, you feel me, of his quote tax exempt status under 501c3 for violating what? Terms and conditions. You know, you was mentioning conditions. It's like they always trying to create different conditions. And whether that be through coercion, force, or whatever, you know, or, you know, consent, however, it's always about creating a condition. So I just find that interesting that in these times, there's so much going on, you know, it's like a lot of suppression that's the rug is being pulled from under a lot of people's feet right now. And I'm specifically talking about these Europeans in these so-called positions of power, you know, who are stirring up and trying to keep that hate energy going. And don't get me wrong, I'm all for, you know, our distinctions as human beings. You know, I'm with that. Like, if y'all, you know you're a European and you proud to be a European, I feel you, because I'm proud to be who I am. You know what I mean? So I'm not mad at that. You know, be yourself, like we was just saying, and we're going to be ourselves. And y'all are who y'all are, we are who we are. Everything is cool as long as we know that. So, you know, but to take a position whereas to try to start a, quote, Nazi movement and do it under a political banner of alt-right or alternative right, and they had tax-exempt status, 501c3, all of that to be stripped. I don't know. I mean, I would suggest anybody who doesn't know about the, quote, alt-right or alternative right or Richard Spencer, like, check it out, and then you see how impacting what happened to him is and why I'm even mentioning this, as far as him being stripped of a, quote, tax-exempt status. So, you know, with that, for now, I yield the floor, fam.
I do.
Well, I don't really have anything to say. I think everybody has said it all. with the exception, well, not exception, but as was said before, we tried to put a simple analogy for the understanding, understanding, and even standing under the whole birth certificate thing. But what it is that, like we made it real simple. It's like, all right, your mama had you, she called you whatever. They said, okay, what did she say? Put it in all caps and created this bond certificate, put it on the stock market, as you said. You can't follow that anyway, where it's going or where it's been or how it's been monetized. So that's what happened. That does not make you, that piece of paper in itself is only proof of human trafficking of the child that was born by your mother. And your mother did not have full knowledge for those who thought it was a contract. So why do people still keep doing it? I think it's because the mindset that we're supposed to be going back to, it just hasn't occurred yet. And and also added to that the belief that these corporations, because we put out, and this is what we're seeing about study, and I remember, Annie, you found the, I don't know if we talked about it or not, about how, as a matter of fact, I don't know that we actually talked about it, unless we did it on Sister Standing on Law, about how every single hospital is established out of the municipal corporation. Every single hospital is ran by the mayor of whatever that, municipality is. So that's the connection. So I think that because the mindset hasn't changed to acknowledge the fact that they're not government, people assume because they've gone through these motions and actions and trained and taught people to believe they are, that therefore this instrument that proves human trafficking that they do utilize, assumed and with your consent to all of our consent until we knew what was going on, but it still wasn't us. But the point is that it's a different jurisdiction. It's a corporation, so therefore they can't determine who you are. This is why Prophet said no one can change your descent nature. So we're talking about, nationality and birthright, nationality and birthrights, then automatically that has no nickel in this dime. And whatever that is, once you recognize what it is, it has no nickel in the dime of the nationality and national principle. Now, I also think because people believe that it is, they're, like you said, they're chasing how do we fix it. You don't fix that by becoming a party to it. It in itself is the fraud. Now, you don't mix that doing commerce with even that birth certificate, even if they're tying it to that, because they tie everything together. But it's still out of the jurisdiction. So once you proclaim your nationality, that's it. It's done. Like 99.9% of all that stuff is gone. It really is. But the people are still more concerned about what the corporations are doing rather than taking their head out of that sand and taking it to another mindset. So they take this information and, like, for instance, they'll get a card just so they can go and do a birth certificate redemption. Not that I don't know why they think they need it, but maybe it's that they're going to do the birth certificate redemption thing. However, those processes are, there's many out there, I guess, all to the same end, though, and all dealing with an instrument that proves human trafficking. And then I guess they're going to become the national, become national, quote, nationalized, although no one nationalizes another. And fusion, because you can't do both. You ever heard that you can't have two masters? Well, that's really what's happening for all you out there who are still trying to navigate something anything with that birth certificate. It's like serving two masters because it has been exposed to you where it comes from, what it is, and what it is not. But, again, the mindset hasn't removed itself from understanding it's an instrument, a corporate instrument that really doesn't make you anything. And if you follow under it, then you're admitting and submitting to it. And then, you have those sad stories, well, my mama did it. Well, we just explained to you that it's not a contract that your mom did. It is what it is. And, of course, you're of age to understand that. The other thing that was coming in my mind, and we had just talked about this, kind of comes in with you can't, if you don't know how to not mix the apples with the oranges, and when you're dealing with your nationality and birthright, and then you want to do anything with that instrument that proves human trafficking, you can't mix the two. Now, we had thought that a lot of people, I think this is what we talked about, a lot of people do that, and you might want to comment on this, because they think they do it for the wrong reasons. In other words, they do it because they think that they're going to get some finances. And I'm laughing, but it's not funny. And I know this is true because I've had people actually tell that yeah, in about 6 months, 8 months, or whatever, we're going to get all this finance. And so it's a joke. So right now, again, they go to think tanks. They go to think tanks to see, okay, what are they doing now? Because they're doing any and everything except for being themselves, right? Which only requires you to declare it, proclaim it, and then be it. Of course, to study, but that's what they're looking at. So they've got all kinds of ways to deal with those who really are going down. Imagine you going down to a municipal corporation to authenticate or get an authenticated copy, and then going through these processes. So, we talked about many people think they're going to do that to get some finances, and that's not how it goes. And they'll pull you into that and pull, like everybody, all right, they're going in this direction. Let's pull them all in and let them make a contract that didn't exist before by going through those processes. If you want to do commerce or merchandise, do commerce and merchandise, but it has nothing to do with your birth certificate. It just does not. That you have to see that for what it is, no matter what it has been shown to you as or told to you as. And if you're actually saying that you're into your nationality and principles therein, then you would very easily see that is an instrument that proves human trafficking. And from that instrument, they tie everything else, or what you call joinders, to that. That, especially the driver's license instrument, that one is an external joinder that ties back, etc. like so. And so it's about people thinking they're going to go after the money. Or finance. Don't you know these people are broke? There is no finance. There is no finance. There's no money like that for them. There's nothing for them to give you in that respect. And as you said earlier, you're not a broker. You don't even have a broker's license to go on to find out where, to go on the stock market or within it or however, so you find out where they have monetized this instrument that has collapsed because it in itself and by itself proves a serious violation called human trafficking.
Now I heard you say something about Anna E. You might want to speak on this, but I didn't hear what it is you were.
Well, there's a whole lot we could speak on, but a part about how we were talking earlier about how many go into it with the wrong mindset of trying to get financed. We figured it out. Their mindset is thinking they're going to get financed. Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. And that's the difference between, when you, to me, this is my position. When you're going after something under a presumption of getting paid, you've missed it. Because this is about principle. It has nothing to do with getting paid. And what are you going to get paid with? You know, I mean, I'm sitting here, you know, and Rob, by the way, I started watching that series Underground. And as I'm watching it, I'm watching it, you know, what I'm looking at is we people, we really think that because we live inside a house or some sort of structure, you know, that we're free. We think that because, you know, we can go to some certain grocery stores in certain locations, we're free, right? But we demonstrate by the things we go after that we're not free. And it is not about, it's not really about these modern Europeans, because enslavement is not a physical thing. And so many of our people are mentally enslaved. I don't care if you put your autograph on a proclamation or not. I don't care if you're walking around with a fez or not. I don't care if you're walking around and you're telling the whole, whoever will stop long enough to hear you say, I'm a declared Moor. I don't care. It doesn't matter, because you know what? People think that declaring your nationality is just about getting a proclamation, name correction, and a national identification card, or putting on a fez or a turban, or having some sort of clothing on you that has, you know, Morocco on it, or you know, Moor on it in some decorative fashion. Thing that the melanated carbon-based people of North America are the only people, it appears, who seek the acknowledgement of a foreigner where their birthright is concerned. All right? Why is conditioned? People get into this information and it doesn't, you can tell, I can tell when it hasn't sunk down into somebody's heart, because they speak and behave in a very superficial manner. And they're talking all the time. All the time. Talk. You know, annoying everybody that they come in contact with. Trying to ram this down everybody's throat. And they themselves demonstrate that they are lost. And they haven't even begun to find themselves. You know, there is a reason the prophet said, study. There's a reason he said, I come to teach you to be yourself. There is a reason he's conditioning that we could spell that we're under. It is so very deep. It's like you're doing things in a complete fog. It's like you're going around and you're committing murder and mayhem, yet you're sitting in the church pew saying, amen, yes, we got to find those people who are doing all of this murder and mayhem, and you're the one doing it. It's a serious disconnect. This is the prophet understood you, my family, to be yourself. He said, if I could just get you to thinking. He said, if I could just get you to think. Because so many of us are under mental enslavement. to the point where we're infiltrators unknowingly.
Say that again.
Many of us are infiltrators unknowingly. Unknowingly. Infiltrators. Because you're so lost that you don't even know you're the problem. This is why the prophet says, study, study, study. I come to teach you to be yourself. If I can just get you to thinking, you would correct yourself, not everybody else. Why not focus on you? You know, they have this saying, do what I say, not what I do. That never works. When you're a child, you did exactly what you saw your parents doing. You never did what they said. There was a lesson in that. If we would just think of it, we would recognize. Don't nobody do what you say. They do what you do. And you're telling people don't smoke, they're going to smoke because that's what they see you do. If you're telling people, if you're saying don't injure people and everywhere you go, you got a club and you're clubbing people over the head, everybody's going to club people over the head because that's what you do. That is the reality of the situation that we're in. And if you think that you can go and talk to people about divine principles and you haven't mastered not one of them, you're not even working on one of them for yourself, and you really think people are going to look at you like, yeah, I need to follow him. I need to do what him. I need to hear what he's got to say. Yeah. You got not one divine principle under your belt that you're working on. People don't do what you say. They do what you do. That's how it is. That's how it's always been, and that's how it's always going to be. I remember years ago I read this book, and it was an amazing book. And the book, it was about how to get people to do what you want them to do. And it used Yahshua as an example. Just like today we use Prophet Noble Drew Ali as an example. And the story that they presented was Yahshua was in a quandary. He had to get a large amount of people to do what he wanted to do. And he was in this huge quandary. Figured out how to get the multitude of people to do what he said. You know what he discovered? And in the story, I discovered it too. Prophet Noble Drew Ali discovered it as well. Every prophet that has come along has discovered what I'm about to tell you, what Prophet Noble Drew Ali told you. Ain't nothing new under the sun. If you want the multitude of people to do what you say, then you do it yourself.
Indeed. And you know, this kind of brings me back to a real historical or classic interview in my perspective. And I want to ask you what you think about this, because they specifically used the Moor with the title L in its appellation for this interview. He was working for a news station. And Gujo, you might remember this, I'm not sure. But it was a Moor, and he was interviewing the rapper Cameron, right? And within that interview, he was asking this quote-unquote rapper, you know, about his lyrics and, like, trying to blame, you know, him for the behavior of young men and women and things like that. And in his defense, he was like, well, the music comes with a parental advisory. if children are acting outside of or following something outside of their parents' guidelines, therein lies the problem. So, to me, it's like this isn't about, in the essence of trying to do what anybody says. It's about knowing what you're meant to do. You know what I'm saying? And knowing exactly, what leads you, like following your intuition, the dictates of your soul. And don't get caught up in following anybody, anybody, like, regardless of what it is, analyze it and take it for what it is. But, soak up wisdom from wherever you can. But I personally think, like, the best we could do is, try to give information, help each other, help ourselves, and help our immediate family. If that's not what's going on, something is out of order. And if it's the youth, the parents should have the restrictions on what they allow the children to absorb and soak up, and this goes back to government starts in the house. So who's the chief? That's who you should be, following. That's who should be setting the examples. That's who should be filtering what's going through, the minds of those of their family direct or, their government. Like, it should be a filter starting there. So, on the same note, big acknowledgement for Moors who are reversing the spells and putting out uplifting music opposed to, low vibration, low frequency music, profane type of mentality, because the parents more or less are going to gravitate to that. Like, if you're going to listen to some hardcore rap, it's going to be about, your nationality and birthright. So Moors such as Cool Joe, all the Moorish MCs who are putting out these different vibrations for people to tune into and vibe with, as far as setting the example, acknowledge to them. And the teachers as well. But again, I would say even I know when I went to school, some things the teacher said made sense and some things didn't. But I didn't get caught up in wanting to be my teacher. I never did that and never will, because that's not what it's about. I'm there to pick up some wisdom and keep it moving. So if you want to become, like, 'cause not that you can't become a teacher, but that happens when you as a student are ready to be a teacher. That's when the maxim kicks in. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. But you got to be a student first. So the thing is, think about all you went to school. Like, let's say everybody who went from grade school and graduated high school, you had 12, 13 years and different teachers every year. It would be an insanity to think that you wanted to be your teacher. You may want to be a teacher, but don't bring that mentality into anything else. Be yourself. Take what you can. Everybody can't be that. Everybody has something to teach and can learn anything from anybody in their own right. But I think that that's a big problem where, teachers think that they're, quote, leaders, and I don't know. It's get confusing sometimes because it's like, I don't know, you got to have wisdom to lead or more so intuition, because certain things there's no manual, there's no instructions that come with what you're supposed to do next. There's no like everything isn't, it's just different in certain situations. So my thing is this: the parents have to take responsibility and filter what it is they're going to let their children absorb. And again, you would never send your children to school to actually not to disregard what they're learning and just want to be the teacher. Like, no, you want to learn. And then in that learning, you might pick up techniques of how to teach, but you're, like, be you. So again, I just think that's a big issue, and I'm going to yield the floor right there, Islam.
All right. All right,
Islam, but
Islam.
Cujo's not on because he had to do an interview about the Iron Sheik, so he's already got off the line.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Okay. No, Mr. called on him about something. I know he didn't answer for that reason.
Oh, yeah, he's doing an interview right now. But this somebody typed something in the chat room that's transforming me about a stateless person. And Ron, you might remember a stateless person.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about that, and kind of fits in with this discussion because everything on planet Earth has been sort of like allocated. Every part of the, it's not that it's land mass. They're claiming certain parameters, all right, for these various corporations. These are corporations. Make no mistake about it. All right, I started researching some of the beginnings of what's listed as the American states, and so far, many of them established per charters from Spain. That's in South America, Central America, and the islands. But those Spain even is a corporation. It is not a landmass. It's a corporation. So, and what these corporations are doing is they're trying to get the people to voluntarily join themselves to a corporation. You remember we were talking about this, and I said, you know what, being a stateless person might not be such a bad idea. Let me explain. Because if you go back to before any of these corporations that are very known today existed, the land didn't have a name. None of the land had, names or that was, under the jurisdiction of, and then the people who joined themselves to these various corporations were called citizens. And these various corporate constructs are called states. So what it means is, for example, one of the things that Trump is trying to force on people, he's trying to say you cannot travel on American soil, which is your constitutionally secured right to do, unless you join yourself and become a U.S. citizen, which makes you joined to the United States of America. And then there is a presumption. There is a presumption that you are given some sort of protection, some sort of benefit, because you joined yourself and became a U.S. citizen, which means you're an individual. And according to law, an individual means your private property of the United States of America. This is not, and an individual means that, as they use in the United States of America, the word individual identifies property of the United States of America. So, if you join yourself to any of these various corporations, whatever their policies and procedures are, you must abide by. Now, there is no corporate construct established today as Morocco proper or the Moorish Empire. Therefore, they don't like it when you join yourself. In their mind and their eyes no longer exist, because now nobody has a claim. Nobody gets to claim it. But that's the same as being a stateless person. You have the right to associate with whomever you choose to associate with, and you have the right not to. And you're still supposed to be protected. The way they have this whole planet blanketed is if you do not join yourself to any one of these corporations on planet Earth, you have no right. That's bullshit. Yeah, I'm cussing. I said it. That's bull crap. And anybody who believes that doesn't understand the pure and divine right that everybody has to associate with whomever you choose to or not. That's what that's all about. This is all about corporate policies and procedures. And I am so sick of people trying to function as free, unalienable, inalienable human beings. Same time claim to be under the jurisdiction of some corporation. Because if you're not joining yourself to these corporations voluntarily, why then that's direct coercion. And why do we need to join ourselves to these corporations? Why? Why can't we live freely? Do you realize? Think about this. The prophet says, if I can just get you to think, if I can just get you to think, do you realize that on North American soil, only way that you get to live and survive in any fashion is if you join to some corporation? But even while you join yourself voluntarily or involuntarily to any one of these corporations, you ain't living free. Because they made it so that you can't live free. You can't eat. You have no roof over your head, and you got no clothes on your back unless you become joined to one of these various different corporations, and then you have to exchange within their medium of exchange, which is Federal Reserve notes. But if you come to the table with something other than Federal Reserve notes, you will not be able to eat, you will not have a roof over your head, and you will not have clothes on your back. Freedom is that. Where is the benefit? Where is the advantage? And why must you join to even have some presumption of benefit and advantage when there really is none? It's a prison within a prison. All of the slaves and enslaved people thinking that they're free because they've made it possible for you to work 40-plus hours a week to get whatever somebody's going to give you in Federal Reserve notes for the very people who gave it to you to demand it back. So you're never free.
That reminds me of the Underground, last week's Underground, where they opened it up and they showed this brother who was a master sculptor, and he sculpted this master sculpting at someone's place. And then by nightfall, when he was finished his work, he had to go to the master of his, plantation, I guess, master. And they walked outside, and took all the monies that he just made by doing something for someone else. It was such a perfect example of what you're saying. And took his finance, the money that he just got paid for doing the sculpting. They came right out of the master's mansion house. He waited right there in the yard. They took all the finance that he just did. It was like a ritual, regular thing. Same thing, except that they do it, income tax and things like that. And even if they didn't do it, income tax, you just explained it so well. Freedom is there, allowing you to. We're going to allow you to work 40 hours. Oh, we'll make sure you don't work over 40 hours. And if somebody works you over that time, that's a violation of the law, labor laws, and all that kind of stuff. And, wow, perfect example of it. That's why Underground is really good, a good show to watch. And the last,
there's been so many movies, over the past couple of years. I think it might have begun with The Matrix, but there were keys prior that you don't see them until it's time for you to see them, and the only time you can see them is after you've done studying. There's people right now who are missing kids that are right in their face because they don't study. There's people right now who think that they can put the cart in front of the horse. It doesn't work that way. Everybody who has found their way to this information, that's great. That's wonderful. But that's just the start. We couldn't even begin. Really, think about this. If all of my Europeans was to disappear right now, they're gone. Tell me, how would we continue to run the show? Would we take their place and impose enslavement on our? Would we continue to impose slavery on our people?
Yes.
Think about it. Think about it. Right now, right this second, there's a so-called conscious Moor somewhere right now selling a pack of lies to his brethren. You really think that when the modern Europeans is no longer a part of the equation, that we're going to all of a sudden just sing Kumbaya and live in peace and love when we're not even trying to do that with each other now? We are under mental enslavement. When these modern Europeans leave here, there's going to be a whole slew of Moors, so-called conscious Moors, that want to take over what the modern Europeans were doing and keep it moving, because they're trying to do that right now.
Mm-hmm.
So before we can even talk about craziness out of our own minds, we got to get in there like a surgeon and cut it out. But that's going to take study. And too many of our people don't want to study nothing. They want to yak with whoever they run across. That don't put stuff in your brain permanently. The things that we talk about on this show, it's not sticking and staying in your head. By the time this show ends, much of what we talk about will evaporate. And that's why you got to study.
That's right. Press replay. Go to the
That's
archives.
right.
Go back.
You got to go back to
that
the
Elchin.
That's right. And you got to take out a piece of paper and you got to take notes. One of the biggest things that's a joke to me, when I do these classes, it's more for me than it is for you. Believe you me, it's more for me than it is for you, because me talking, it brings more clarity to me. I'm trusting it's going to bring some clarity to you, but I find it very hard, almost impossible. Because many times when we have classes, I don't see nobody showing up with paper and pencil.
Mhm.
So I know you ain't serious. Because I know when I showed up to the classes in 2008, I showed up with paper and pencil, and I was writing as fast as my hands could move. I learned how to write very fast because I wanted to jot down as much as I could so that when I go back home, I'll have a reference for research and study. But I see people come in classes and lectures and seminars and all kinds of stuff, and they not one piece of paper or a pencil. So that leads me to believe that this is just a big social event for many people, and that's okay because it's working for me. It's bringing clarity for me because every time I see more things connect and other channels open up for study that I am going to pursue. So in the end, it still works out. Because, you know, the prophet said, my sheep hear my voice. And I can tell you sometimes when I be talking, it ain't me talking. Because some of the things I say amaze even me.
Right.
And surprise me. So my sheep hear my voice. I'm not saying I'm the prophet reincarnated at all. But I know that because I'm doing at least some of the things that he said to do, then I'm getting some clarity, which is what he wanted us all to do. Some of us will, some of us won't. I don't have no control over what other people do. I just got control over what NE does. And NE been studying and researching and searching and looking long before she came into this information. And she'll be studying even afterward. And I do. And everybody else should as well, because that's the only way you're going to free yourself. Because freeing yourself is not moving from a new place from one place to another. Freeing yourself, it takes place all in the mind. It's not a place that you go to or come from. It's in your mind. And many people to this broadcast every week still mentally enslaved. Your mind ain't free. I don't care what appellation you jotted down on a piece of paper or what you decided to put on a national identification card, you're still enslaved mentally. That ain't going to go away overnight. It ain't going to go away in a week, a month, a year or two. That takes diligent, consistent, repeated study. How much you study will determine how serious you are about your birthright, about your life, about your freedom, about your mental freedom. If you ain't serious, I guess you ain't going to study. You can tune into these weekly broadcasts and you can be socially entertained. But it's a whole lot more than entertainment. Islam? Oof.
Yes, ma'am. Indeed. Oh, I just want to take a moment to make this announcement before the internet feed goes off at 11:30. I did receive notice from the brethren Set and Ra today in the Moorish Masquerade Ball that was supposed to be going on April 1st has been postponed. I wouldn't say canceled, but it's not going on April 1st. And I wanted to say that because I put it on Mantis Views 29 as well and mentioned it last week. I took it down, but, you know, it's been postponed till further notice. Of the aim, as far as I understand right now, is August, but we'll do another one at a later time to just, you know, help keep it updated of what's really going on. So, yeah, I just wanted to say that. So if anybody was looking forward to going or, you know, did get their tickets, yeah, it is canceled. And it did say refunds, et cetera, are possible. I mean, you know, are there. So, yeah. With that, I yield the floor. Islam.
Islam.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Well, we're only going over this again. I mean, because the principles don't change anyway. Because, you know, it's about a hard-hearted people, you know, and this, they just do not avert. Oh, God, they don't get what's going down with this birth certificate thing, that they're putting themselves, they're making contracts with. I don't care what they say. If they know that they are nationals and Aboriginal and Indigenous, then what's the purpose of acknowledging an instrument that comes from a corporation when the proclamation and name correction does that, number one, and you do that by knowing it. And then when you find out that that is a instrument that actually proves human trafficking issued from corporations, why would you want to be involved? You can't get involved in it in any fashion. It has no standing. But then I guess if one doesn't study law and know what standing means, then they don't know what that means. So therefore, you know, go to the law of the land that we're all supposed to be enforcing, and you can go to Article 6, and it tells you anything that violates. And you just pointed out the violation in terms of association. You associate with whoever you wish to or not, in terms of contracting or otherwise. So anything that violates that, it has no standing. That's just simple standing on its own.
On that note, can I ask you a question? Because it's a sad thing that, you know, because you just mentioned you can associate with whoever you want. The right of the people to peaceably assemble. But one of the adverse and distractive Roman military agendas that they put into place was labeling people, quote, gang affiliated or gang related, meaning that I could just be walking down the block and I'm talking to some brothers who might be in a gang or sisters or whatever, and, you know, if anything happens with the policy enforcers, they would try to label you as, quote unquote, if you're not in the gang, quote unquote, gang related. And would that actually be a violation of the Constitution then? Because if you have the right to peaceably assemble, like I could talk to anybody, like you just said, right? It doesn't necessarily have to make me, you know, a classified status of a peaceable assemblage, right?
But
like,
it's not. But that's not even talking about peace. Literally slander. All right, because really what you got is one gang accusing another bunch of people of being a gang. That's slander. That's not about gang. Got nothing to do with peaceful assembly. Because the police is a gang. You got to know the history of how they even came into being. They started as a gang, and they're still a gang. So that's like a thief, you know, reporting another thief.
Right.
And so what if you want to be a gang? What's wrong with that? You know, most Masonic lodges can be classified as a gang. Any member of a church group or organization can be classified as a gang.
Yeah, this is
gang doesn't have to have a negative connotation. A gang is really just a group of people who get together. I mean, that's a gang. It can almost be classified as a state.
Yeah, bird gang. It's in nature. You see the birds fly in gangs or flocks. the geese.
Right.
You know, yeah, that's in other words, it might be a certain quote tribe or whatever, but like you said, it's the principle of being recognized as a part of a certain establishment or whatever. Because the thing is this, it don't matter what gang, and you're absolutely right. I know people. I'll say, like, I know that there is different gangs, and from what I've seen, the first thing is that people recognize the fact that they're the same people for the most part, and then whatever else, And I've seen quote unquote adverse, quote unquote, gang members actually just chilling in peace and harmony. So I don't see like that as a quote negative. Like you're saying, the first things first is you got people first. It's like no different than you might have a corporation, they got CEOs, and then they got managers, and then they have employees. Everybody is in a different quote rank, but they all people. And it doesn't make anybody better or less than. Like, so I'm not going to be like, oh, you're a manager, I can't talk to you. You feel me? Or, oh, you're a part of this, tribe, I can't talk to you. Or you're a gang member, I can't talk to you. Or whatever, That's, like you're saying, that's chopping things up to a point where, it causes a lot of delusion. And it's social engineering, too. Because now what it does is it puts people in a position like, oh, I don't even want to talk to them because I'm going to be, quote, unquote, associated like that or whatever. So I think that's also a part of the social engineering, and they do that intentionally because it's people who've been kidnapped and they come home, and then they got stipulations like you can't be around certain people. Like if somebody just came home and they might be on parole or something like that, they'll tell the parolee, quote unquote, look, you can't be around anybody else who has a felony, like according to them, So what I'm saying is they have the social engineering going on because they classifying people and saying you can't be around these specific type of people. But while they was locked up, that's all they was around. So it's like, it's so many levels to the social engineering that it's just, crazy. And sometimes we got to really think about, well, why are these so-called prohibitions trying to be put in place? Because it kind of like takes away from principles of nationality and action. No matter what organization you belong to, you have a nationality first. So if we say on that principle, whatever you're doing, whether McDonald's worker or, president or whatever, the thing is there is a commonality of nationality before you have any position, quote unquote, on this planet. So I just see there's a lot of social engineering going on, and I'm really, really, really realizing it, the older I get, and really like seeing more with my eyes wide open, like this is really like really real out here. Like it's really like that. So, I don't know, just something I was thinking about when you said you can associate with whoever you want. I was thinking about, okay, we have the right to peaceably assemble, and when they try to classify people like that, that's a violation of that constitutionally secured birthright, I would say, And with that, I was the floor.
Well, I was more talking in terms of associating, like for example, they compel people to be joined to one of these union states and municipal corporations, and it's as if you don't have a choice. You don't have a choice. That's why when we go into these venues and we say, well, you don't have jurisdiction. Now, a lot of people don't realize what's going on. They go, they got jurisdiction over me because of the birth certificate. No, they don't. No, that's not what's going on. What they've done is they're depriving you of your right to associate or be associate with whatever association you so choose, and that would be like any of these union states and any of these municipal corporations. They have boxed the people in to the point where if you don't join to one of these corporations, whether they're state or municipal, you can't work, you can't exchange nothing, you can't get no place to live, you can't get no food. That is a violation of your First Amendment right, your right to associate with. You can't even travel. You can't do nothing unless you, and now Trump is saying, well, if you ain't associated with one of these union states or municipal corporations, you can't even be on North American soil. Now, the point that I'm trying to make is you have the right not to associate with anybody you so choose, and nobody is supposed to be able to have the power to make you homeless, to take food out of your mouth and clothes off your back. Nobody is supposed to have that kind of power. That's not what this land is about. But they do it all day long, and they've been doing it because we are so asleep and caught up in all of these social entertainments, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, whatever, Snapback, whatever the heck it is. Everybody's caught up. There's all these stupid reality shows that put people in such a horrendous light. You know, and if they're not watching a reality show, they got a reality show going on under their own roof. Everybody's life is one big reality show of falseness. Because we are not free in any way, shape, or form. We're not free at all. And everybody is talking as though they're free. Meanwhile, we're all enslaved and doing nothing about it, but fighting each other. That's it. We are all enslaved and we're fighting each other. For what? You don't fight me for a radio that really ain't mine. You don't steal a car from me that really ain't mine. Because look, I can have an automobile, but I can't use it. I can't travel. And because the way they got it situated, if you're not joined to one of these municipal corporations, they can come by and tag your car as abandoned property and take it. You don't own jack. But we all think we're free.
Well, these days, I don't know. I don't know what we're fighting over, except for the people that are coming in.
I'm just saying. Well, I say that because we're all living a theory. You know, we all living in some la-la land. You know, the things that people are fighting for is so ridiculous when our basic human rights are gone.
Yeah,
look at the ridiculous things that people are paying attention to, and you're enslaved. You are not free at all. Look at this. Look at how crazy this land. On this land, the supreme law of the land says that you're innocent until proven guilty, but every municipal corporation, any Tom, Dick, Harry, Sally Jane, Sue, grandmother, baby, child, dog, can go and put a report in against you, and they will set you up. Ain't no investigation, ain't nothing. They will snatch you up and throw you into prison, and just on a frivolous complaint that has nothing to substantiate. There's been no investigation. You are presumed guilty until you can somehow prove yourself innocent. And in today's world, it ain't even about proving you innocent. It's about finding a frivolous technicality. And we're okay with it. This is what we're okay with. We're okay with that. And I say we're okay with that because you got people having stupid arguments and trying to be, Mr. or Mrs. Popular, and this is what's going on.
Yeah, well, getting back to, this association thing, now here's probably the situation where, say, the person who did come out, for instance, on parole, as was mentioned earlier. Well, first of all, they made a contract, right, to come out, and whatever those stipulations were. But what would be wise, or what could be suggested, is to study the Constitution and recognize where those contracts are fraudulent, and spend the time dealing with, suiting for those violations. But then it's like a conundrum, I guess, for them. But if they do it divinely, so it probably will work out because they've made the contract. So now the issue that would be on the table is the contract itself and it becoming void. You know what I'm saying? Because they signed it, agreeing to these terms, and then coming out of that agreement of those terms based on the law. Because what they're putting down is, like in other words, if they agreed to it, they can renege it based on law if they show where it is a violation. But now no one is going to be able to do that unless they study and actually put their mind to doing that as opposed to anything else. And I think that if we all were to do it, like people say, look, we know they violate the law. Here's what's amazing to me. When you do find out what's going on, and as you say, we're so steeped in it because we're so asleep, and you realize that the people who are the gangs are them. The people who are actually the criminals violating the law are them. It can become kind of like, you're like, wow, this is really what's happening and been happening, but only because we've been asleep. So the turnaround on it is just like the prophet said, it's for the young and yet unborn. The work you do today is for you tomorrow and for generations tomorrow, or what's called posterity. And I think, a lot of people want relief right now in some way, but they'll get the relief if they walk down that path, because it becomes a divine matter and or issue. And that's where they'll find it. But if their mindset is on this other way, as we said earlier, I'm going to get some finance from this or whatever, never going to happen. They're not even going to see any light of that truth in any way, shape, form, or fashion. It's not going to happen. They're going to be, as you mentioned earlier at the top of the show, like at the dog race chasing whatever, the bone, I guess, that they have for them to chase and see who can get to it first. That's it.
Well, I think I said about. So, if you have a question, comment, or concern, and you would like to put it on the table, press 1 on your telephone dial, and we will begin to take calls in the order that we receive them. Now, I will say this to you. Please, if you're going to bring something to the table, please have all the information, because we don't want to be put in a position where we're asked to make an assumption based on lack of information. Because, lawfully, that's not a good thing, and that's not something that we would encourage, and we trust that nobody is functioning in that capacity. All right, we are Moors, and that means that we're first and foremost, we're absolutely knowledgeable in law. That means that you must have all the relative information, or at least some very significant pieces of the information in order to comment. So, with that, we'll take our first caller. Caller 206-482. You're live on the air. Please state your appellation.
Peace. What's up, family? Islam to all. This is RVBey calling from and near around the corporation of Seattle. How y'all doing tonight?
Peace. Good.
We good. Y'all on fire. Y'all on fire. And y'all had touched on a lot of topics, and I was just really going to call in just to kind of just touch on a little situation that kind of took place. But, man, y'all talked on so many things. Well, if I'm going to start off with, when a few years ago, me and my woman started off getting to this information, she was kind of led in that direction of thinking that she was going to go after the birth certificate, and I kept studying, and I was showing her and trying to tell her, that's not the way to go, and she had actually found out who owned that birth certificate, not her birth certificate, but she found out who owned it, and then she found out how much it was worth, and that kind of like sparked her up even more. But through my studies and through Allah speaking to her, she started, and through her own studies, she started to see, no, that's not the way to go. And I'm proud of her because, I couldn't, much as I was telling her, and showing her, no, that's not the way to go, she took it on her own to keep on studying to find out, no, that is not the way to go. So, I'm proud about that. So that was one of the things that you guys were all talking about. And another thing is I just left a funeral last week. One of our mothers who was very prominent in the city here, she owned a bookstore, 20 years here, and she had passed away. And we're actually having Cujo up here in about a month. And so I went to her funeral. And, I got my Moorish garb on, me and my son, we got our Moorish garb on, and we're there. And so this guy comes up to me. He was clean cut, had a suit on. He was really nice. And he whispered in my ear and said, we're just alike. And I turned to him and looked, and I didn't know who he was. And I said, how so? And he showed me that he was a Mason. He showed me his ring. I said, no, we're not alike. And so to make a long story short on that one, he said, well, what do you think about the 5%ers? I said, well, the 5% knows the truth and 10% keeps the truth away from the 85%. And he said, just like me, and walked off. I was like, wow. And this is a brother, too. And so that kind of struck me. Yeah, that struck me. And then, from that whole point, from there, he started, like, following me around and looking at me different and sideways. I don't even know who this brother was, but again, he definitely showed that he was a Mason, and he said there's a few more Masons in here. So, but when he said that and walked off, I was kind of, which I already knew because I know these Masons. But on another note, also though, family, for many years, some that you said, Annie, I've always been searching high and low for truth and peace and freedom, even before I came into this information, being a young guy and, being in the system, You know, I always had books and picked up books and kind of navigated my way through life and unlocking those chains that was on my mind, you know. And as time went on and as I got older and mature through knowledge, you know, I was able to free myself from that situation. And then, you know, and then when I came into this knowledge and the science, it's just been, I can't even explain how much it's been great for me. You know, people don't even really recognize me. Even friends that I grew up with and people that know me, you know, they used to know me as, you know, something else, you know, pretty much a real badass, you know, excuse my expression. But people don't even really recognize me no more. You know, they recognize me in the physical, but when I speak, my light, my brightness, the way I walk, they can't really recognize, you know, damn, that's man, I can't believe that's him. And so I'm very proud, you know what I'm saying, that that I came into this information. But I've been on this journey for a very long time, but I'm still a student, and just like y'all was talking about, you got to study. And I'm always studying. Because I know that there's so much more that I have to free up and just learn. I got so many books, and RVBey's just been so good to me, and I actually turned other people on to RVBey, and we're able to, you know, bounce this knowledge off of each other. And, you know, what you think I should study next, Raw? And I'll be like, man, just stay on RVBey, man. I done been on RVBey for years, and I keep going over it and going over it. It seems like there's something new on there every single time, and it's not even really like that. It's just I'm just reading it and I'm getting a different feel for it. All right, baby, be good. So yeah. So, you know, the truth of it is that today, in this day and age, and where we at right now and how I see things, because my vision is long, you know, being an Aries, you know, as, you know, I study, but I also study myself, and I'm still studying myself. I know how I'm lined up with my planetary signs and my attributes, you know, and so I'm learning, but my vision's so long and so far, all I can do and see is to continue to study so I can really, really get myself free from, you know, what's going on out here, you know what I'm saying, because of what they're trying to do and what they are doing. It's crazy. And I feel all y'all. I feel you. I really do. You know, my 15-year-old son, you know, we got him into Moor school, you know, and he's loving it. He's been learning a whole lot, and he's just really enjoying it. So I just wanted to say, you know, it's just great. But at the same time, you know, we living in some times where it's just, you know, it's all bad because people can't even comprehend. Like I had a friend that said the other day, you know, come out to the show, you know, come listen to, you know, Cujo, and she was like, oh, I wouldn't even know where to begin. I wouldn't even be able to comprehend. I'll just be sitting there and don't know what to think. And she ain't lying, because a lot of people they dead and they sleep, you know. And this information that I got, and y'all got, knows who also is studying, this is built up information. You got to study to build up to get yourself out of that that condition that most people are in, that got them sleep, that got them in a dead state of mind. They can't come out of that state unless they study. If they're not studying, then they're going to stay right where they're at. And that's the truth, because I speak to people every day. And everywhere I go, I bring the light, I bring the truth, I bring peace, I bring love, and we trying to find some freedom, and we trying to get some justice. And the only way we're going to do that is nationality is the order of the day. But you can have a nationality. You was born with your nationality, but you got to study to understand this science of how government works, how these principles that the prophet brought to us was already embedded in us from the time of birth, because Allah is love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. So it was already in us. But what the European did, because the European had nothing but hate in them, they created us or socially engineered us to hate each other. And that hate is, you can kill the hater, but you can't kill the hate. You know what I'm saying? So what we have to do, so what we have to do, family, you know, is continue to, you know, just really be pushing. Just keep pushing, because, you know, the future is bright, but the future is grim at the same time. But it's bright for those that are learning to live within the light of love, true peace, freedom, and justice, and follow the prophet and how the prophet did it for us. Because, you know, the prophets that came before, the prophet said, I am that, as we are of our ancestors, then we are today. So we must, you know, I just wanted to, you know, give you guys that, and again, you know, how that Mason came up to me and said, yeah, you know, just like me, and walked off. So he know he keeping the truth from the people. And he ain't got no problem with that.
Well, that's the agent. That's the infiltration and agent. That's that mentality. And that's been going on for so long. But see, the prophet said, what? I'm taking the covers off of what? All secret societies. And he did it by the information that he shared. That takes the covers off of them. But you only know that if you study so you can recognize it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sounds like you chapter 2, son.
Huh?
It sounds like you the chapter 2, son.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Say chapter 2, circle 7, chapter 2. Read it. You'll find yourself there.
Yo.
All right.
Yeah, I'm always studying. But one more thing before I get off the phone, I yield. I'm really trying to, me and my business partner, my woman, we really trying to, you know, be some book wholesalers, you know, of RVBey up here, up in this said territory. I know there's been a few times we attempt to find out what we have to do to do that. Made a few phone calls, emails, and whatnot. I got a lot of people that really, because I got a lot of books already from RVBey, and everywhere I go, I keep books with me, and I so I can give people reference points, and so they'll be like, man, I want that book, man. So that's why me and my woman, we just said, you know, we would like to be wholesaler of RVBey books, you know, because we already gonna get some other books and just kind of want to give that light to the people by bringing books. You know what I mean? So I'm just gonna yield the floor and let y'all have it. And y'all on fire tonight. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Keep your head up. Islam.
Thank you. Yeah, I think I got her email the other day, so I'll respond there.
Okay. All right, Islam.
Mhm.
All righty, Islam, and thank you so much for that. All right, our next caller 3608. You are live on the air. Please state your appellation at Northwest New Mexico.
Islam, it is I, RVBey, in Northwest New Mexico. How are you, brother?
Fine. It's
great. All is well.
That's good. All right, that's good. Well, I was just kind of just wanted to drop in and say really thank you all for, you know, the work that you all do, and I tune in as, you know, as often as possible, you know, when I'm not, you know, busy myself. But I just wanted to say thank you to you all, family, for the work that you do, because information that you all provide through RVBey publications and the classes, I really do appreciate it. I really do, because I remember when I first started, when I first came across this knowledge, I heard it first from Brother Taj Tariq Bey, and it's like my spirit's been on fire since, you know, and it's such joy to me, because that brother dropped some points that really woke me up, and to this day, those very same concepts that I grasped and then years ago, like, they still hold true and fast to this day, you know, even with my movements, because, you know, I have my own radio show, as well with Blog Talk, and also informing people of, you know, site is so informative, especially when it comes to more science and especially law, because I mean that's like my field right there. I really like law, so I always got my head buried in books, concerning law, especially state decisis.
Because you are the law.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, I am.
You are the law tested in the flesh. That's right.
Yes, ma'am, I am. And I just want to say I'm very much appreciative of you all, family. You all mean so much to me. Because, I mean, me growing up and, going through the things that I've been through and seeing the things that I've seen, experiencing the things that I've experienced, and being from where, the part of the country where I'm from, where I was born and raised. And I've seen a lot, been through a lot, and some of the experiences were, not my doing or my fault, but I understood even going through that fire, through that storm, understood as I was going through it why, and I began to see the whole picture of a lot of things. But that understanding came when I became older, and I continued to grow and stuff, and I became to be more appreciative of my experiences, whether good or bad, so to speak. But I just want to say I appreciate you guys. Like, I'm real big and real strong now on, especially etymology. I find myself like, I give you an example, like this past weekend. No, not this past weekend. It was like a couple weekends ago. At a sister who just turned 17. She just turned 17, and I found myself giving her and her friends, because they all go to the same high school and everything, to celebrate with her for my birthday. And kind of like at the end of, the gathering, I ended up giving, those young sisters an etymology lesson, to which, they're very much appreciative. And I made sure I gave them, I always reference RVBeypublications.com, RVBeypublications.com. If you need a good reference point to start or to begin your studies, I recommend that to anybody. RVBeypublications.com. That's where it's at. And I must say, I don't have all of the literature, but I do have quite a bit of it. And I make sure I listen, especially to you, Mother Ross. I listen to you and Brother Tosh, because I see you guys have a lot of videos on YouTube. So, like, every morning, that's like my daily routine when I wake up in the morning is either coffee or tea. My wife, she'll make me coffee or tea when I first wake up, and she'll be making breakfast, and I'll get up, and I'll make sure I have, either your video or Brother Taj's video on, or some Brother Abdul Talib Mosey-Bey teaching etymology, or some Sister Yafa-Bey. I love Sister Yafa-Bey. Oh, she's a great teacher when it comes to, breaking down, the words and stuff. And I'm just so grateful, because it's I don't even want to say it's overwhelming, you know what I'm saying? Because you can never get enough truth. You can never get enough knowledge. You can never, be in a spot where you have full or enough understanding, So we strive for picking up those principles daily, and I'm appreciative of that, on a daily basis, but I just wanted to say thank you, family. I appreciate you.
Oh, wow.
I really do.
Thank
I really
you.
do.
Wow.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mom.
I know, and that's another thing I'm learning too, Mom, is that with my experiences, in life, even with me doing, my own, my own blog talk radio show myself, it was a big step for me. I never thought I'd see myself doing something like that, my own little radio show. I never thought I'd see myself doing that, you know what I mean? Because back when I was younger, ma'am?
I said neither did we. But yeah,
oh, yes, ma'am. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Great point, yeah.
Yes.
Because, I mean, when I was younger, I was more focused on, girls and, basketball, you know what I mean? I wasn't, then, and it wasn't until I got older, because I do smoke cannabis, But before then, in my younger years, when I was a teenager, the only thing I was really, thinking about was girls and basketball and, some school, because I was one of those brothers, young brothers in school that, had questions about some of the things that, were being taught, that just didn't make sense to me.
Right.
And like Brother Taj, I learned from Brother Taj as well. I heard him say this in one of his lectures, that it's in the nature of the being to rebel. And I understood that because it's like you can't, when you try to force a being to be or do something against its will or against its nature, it's like its natural response is to rebel against that. You know what I mean? Because it's, for one, it's unnatural. And that force that's trying to change its nature is trying to, change that. So you're that force that you're using to fight against it to remain in the state of growth. I think that's like a righteous type movement. You know what I mean? Because it's natural to want to defend, especially when you're standing in truth. You're in that state of growth. You want to always defend that. It shouldn't be an easy task to break down that foundation. That should not be an easy task. If that's easy for anybody, I suggest, we start continuously looking at ourselves and continuously studying ourselves and continue to strive back towards that state of growth. I always push that myself. Let's get back to that state of growth, because growth is an ongoing process. You know what I mean? That's what I love about the state of growth. It's an ongoing process. It's going to keep going. It's going to keep on. It requires movement. You know what I mean? So anything other than that is, stationary, stagnant. Even with the things that I do today in my own daily movements, I have to always move, because I know and understand how important movement is. And with every movement and every step that I take, I be sure that it's ordered and that I do it all in love, because this is another thing I learned in my daily walks is that love is the only thing that lasts forever. Everything else, to me, just the way I see it, to me, everything else passes away. Eventually, it diminishes. Even hatred, Mom, even hatred over time diminishes.
That's right.
Because most hatred is rooted in anger. And that anger over time will diminish. Because there is time for everything. Yes. There's a time for it. Because I tell my mom about this all the time. I tell her all the time. I was like, babe, during the good times that we have together, let's cherish those times. Because even then, those times won't last forever. Because those things that we stand on in our relationship will be tried. There will be trials. There will be tribulations. And they're all tests. So let's cherish those times. So when those bad times, those, so to speak, those bad times do come, we're in a place with one another. In other words, we're in that state of growth, and nothing can stop us, not even adversity.
That's right.
And that's why I think, this state of growth is so important, Mom. You know what I mean? But I didn't mean to take up all that time.
No, no, thank you for that. You're absolutely right. That's why love is the first principle, And you're right. The opposite of the hatred. Well, we know it's love, but anger is what makes people that way. It's anger.
Yes, ma'am.
Mhm.
Yes.
And eventually, it should subside. And the art of reflection is what we are to utilize. So, thank you for your call.
Yes, ma'am. And I love you all, family. I love you all, family. You all enjoy the rest of your evening. Islam, peace and love.
Islam, you too, and to your family the same.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Our next caller, 803-290. You're live on the air.
Islam, this is Charles Hassan Joel, calling from near Orangeburg, South Carolina territory. Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Okay, now I got this I got a removal to the federal court and everything, I just got like 1, 2, 3. I got like 5 simple questions real quick in the process, really. The paper size. I'll stick with our original format, right? Or do I go with? I really don't want to go with their format. I kind of want to stick with ours, with the legal size.
Well, the legal size paper is that's why it's called legal because it's legal paper. They'll tell you, oh no, we're not going to accept that. We only want paper that's 8.5 by 11, and then they'll tell you they want paper that's
double spaced.
All that stuff is jurisdictional bull crap.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that answers that one.
Yes, because they got to accept your exhibit regardless. It's like you got to remember when you put in paperwork for a case, that's evidence, man. So, even though they try to play that, don't put it on legal paper type of game, like in all reality, regardless of whatever challenges they try to throw, like it's evidence they have to accept because at the same time, paperwork is paperwork, it's evidence. So if somebody robbed the bank and handed the bank teller a note on a small piece of paper saying, give me all the money or whatever's going to happen, like, trust me, they'll use that paperwork or that piece of paper as evidence of the person's handwriting and use it in the case. So it's not really the size, it's the claim. But all of that other stuff is trying to get you to jump through hoops.
Yeah, they're trying to get you, and if you read to them, then they know you just fell into their jurisdiction.
Yeah. And that's what I was thinking earlier. Gotcha. Okay, right. Now the second question, I'm still appearing in appropriate persona. I'm not doing the pro se.
No, because pro se means to proceed.
Hold on. That was a statement. That wasn't a question.
Yes, exactly.
Like, are you appearing in appropriate persona, or are you asking us what should you do?
Well, I kind of know to go appropriate persona, you know what I'm saying? But I always thought that federal court, would be kind of like different than state courts.
Yeah, well, does
your proper person differ? Like, you got to ask yourself, does your proper person differ in the state court than what in the federal court? Or are you in your proper person for real?
Mm-hmm. I think what he's asking, though, is a distinction between going pro se. So what there is a page called pro se on the site. On the left-hand side, it says pro se. And why you don't, pro se means to proceed, but they kind of trick you. And as Ms. is saying, it don't matter which court, and I don't think the federal will do that, but I think what your question is, I'm going, like when you go to one of these other little venues, they'll say, if you say, well, I'm in proper person, they'll trick you, and they say, oh, so you're going pro se? And then most people say, yeah, and that's not right, because that means you're proceeding.
What I was trying to go at with this is that, like with, I know state courts, we deal with affidavits and all. So when we do a federal court, do we automatically, okay, now I got to go with the federal laws of, federal rules and procedures, and now I got to deal with the motions with federal courts instead of how we deal with state courts? Or do we still like, okay, I'm still going to deal with affidavits regardless of what y'all say?
Well, if you were dealing with a proper court, like Supreme Court, a motion means to move the court, but you're not dealing with that. Now, some people, what is your call on that? Because the reason we tell people not to do motions, particularly and especially in the municipality, the municipal courts, and they're not courts, none of them. That's why, because it's discretionary because they're a corporation. But now, as far as the federal court, I don't know. What's your take on that? Do you have whether it should be a motion or see, really what it is the motion really is this. It's the title of your document. Like if you're putting in a writ of discovery, it's a writ of discovery. If you're putting in a writ of error, that's the lawful terminology of it. So that in itself is the movement. That is the purpose of what you're doing. So call it what it is. Yeah.
Okay. Okay,
right.
so I really ain't got to put motion or affidavit on. I just put writ of discovery. Boom.
Yeah. Right.
Gotcha.
Which is right. All right. Which is an affidavit. Which is any writ is anything written. What it's called is right. Is the title.
Okay. This is I got two more. I got one more after this one. Okay. Would it be better if I push a criminal or should I push a civil? Because they're trying to get me on the driving on suspension, second time, whatever. So would it be better if I push criminal or should I push civil? If I heard criminal takes a while to get it processed or whatever, or they'll be bouncing you around. Her civil to kind of handle it real quick.
I think all things are actually civil, but I mean, I'm not exactly sure what you're doing because I mean the true criminals is them, but I'm not sure of right. But it would all be civil, really.
Okay.
That's my opinion. Yeah, because when you're violating your civil liberties, it's a violation of your civil liberties because you're going from the perspective of the Constitution and violating those unalienable rights. Now, they've been doing that so long with the driving thing that, we got to get real, we got to really get down on the rabbit hole on that because of assumed consent. However, once you know what the law is, you realize that, it's as simple as it is. You have a right to travel without it. Okay. So they just assumed, right.
And that's what I've been kind of doing with this one, because usually, we'll go through the little court thing, and I never push the issue. It was over, done deal. Okay, I ain't pushing the issue no more. This time, they keep violating me, keep kidnapping me for the right to travel. So now I'm, really pushing the issue, so they'll call the FBI on them. They've filed a claim or recorded a claim for me, the United Nations, so a lot of people, I'm really kind of pushing this one out. Usually I really don't do that like that, but now I'm really kind of pushing this one.
Yeah, after a while you get tired of that, right?
Yes, I got a big heart. I got a big heart. It's like, I ain't gonna mess with them this time. Next time I get y'all. Next time it happened and nothing. Yeah, this time I just got fed up, really.
Well,
and,
yeah. Go ahead.
Excuse me?
No,
okay,
go ahead.
And this one, once I do the removal, I will still be the defender, or will I be the plaintiff now?
You're a claimant.
I'll be the plaintiff, no doubt. Gotcha.
No,
yes,
claimant. Claimant.
Claimant.
Well, yeah,
okay.
plaintiff,
Okay.
Claimant. Yeah, but it should be claimant. But from the side of what you're thinking of, you would say plaintiff, but, you're the claimant because you're making a claim that they're violating your constitutionally secured liberties.
Yes. Okay. That's perfect. That answers the main questions I had. Now I can just really get going because I went up there to the federal court building and I guess the marshals that run it, check the IDs. Here you got to take your belt off, your shoes, and all that to go in the federal building. And they'll check an ID, and they didn't accept mine. So I was like, okay, I know I don't belong. Excuse me.
Which ID did you have? The one that we issued?
Yes.
Okay, so now the question is, were you really in a federal court? Because I've used that and went into a real federal court and they didn't even question it. So
and I was telling them too, I'm here for a removal. It's diversity of citizenship, so I'm gonna have a different ID than you. The reason I'm doing the removal because diversity and citizenship. Two different nations, and they still. I'm like, yo, he's like, no.
Are you sure you're in a federal court? Because, like I said, I know myself and I know others, and I can speak on it myself that I went with that. I mean, I got into the building. I wasn't going for a matter for myself, but for someone else. And I was wondering myself, well, how's this? What's going to go down? And
they was kind of rough on people though. You can see they wasn't really just taking no slack. I saw this other guy came with I don't know what type of ID he had. He was like, nope, that's not going to work. It was a European guy.
Well, then you're not in the federal. Then you're obviously not in a real federal.
Wait a minute. Are you saying that you have to show identification in order to put in a civil complaint?
My dad had to take it in for me. because they wouldn't let me in.
Why?
That's how I got all my stuff back. And he was like, what is he trying to remove? The guy was trying to see what I was trying to remove with the evidence and everything I had in my.
But wait. You're saying that you couldn't go in, and I'm asking you why.
They wouldn't accept the ID. They wanted to state. They said, we needed.
You needed an identification card to go into a federal building?
Yes, here. They take the shoes off and belt.
Well, that happened to me. But I showed them my identification card to say when you have, and I didn't have a problem, so as many others. So, yeah, they do that. It depends, I guess, on what. Yeah, I don't know, but they shouldn't ask for that.
Well,
it's out here in South Carolina. Near South Carolina.
South Carolina. South Carolina. Okay. Well, that explains it. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that the Carolinas is so corrupt. It's ridiculous. But here's the thing. Tell me about it. What if you that's a public building.
Yes.
It's a public building. So what if they're asking you for identification, question to ask is, well, I mean, if this is a public building, what is the purpose for identification? It's a public building, and you're going to talk to the clerk. So, I mean, you're not even going in front of a so-called administrative judge. You're going to talk to the clerk.
Yes, the marshals up front. Yeah, they wasn't having it.
Okay, well then just send it in via mail.
That's what I was going to do, yes, instead of going in. So now, when it's time for the trial, will I have to get a day pass or something?
Well, you know what? Let's not put the cart in front of the horse. You need to get it in.
Yes. Yes. But yeah, y'all did answer the questions I did need, so I definitely chop it up right now and get it going.
And you need to also be I'm trusting that you have researched to ensure that you are in some semblance of a federal court. Because just because they say federal on the building don't mean there's a federal anything going on inside.
This is it's in the capital. It's like in the capital city, right by the governor's palace or wherever governor's mansion.
That does not matter. You still have to do the appropriate research. Because like in the New York area, they call all their courts. They even show you on Law and Order. They call all their courts Supreme Court, and ain't not one of them is the Supreme Court. They got a Supreme Court for every borough, and there's not even a Supreme Court. So you have to do the research and analysis to find out which one it has some semblance of federal anything.
And it sounds like to me that he wasn't, because they're asking him before he can get in there what was the nature of why he's even coming and looking at, his paperwork.
Why would so a marshal who is the equivalent of a police who don't know jack about law is asking you what your lawful business is?
No, he didn't ask me. He didn't ask me. I just let him know that I was here to.
Why would you do that? Why would you do that? That's like telling a police where you live.
Basically. Yes. Yeah.
So now you gave them information that they didn't need to have, so now they really going to block you. Because there is no sanctioning in the Constitution for a marshal, all right? Sanctioning in the Constitution for police. So they are the same people. And their job is to make sure that you get blocked. Whatever you're trying to do, their job is to make sure that you're blocked. Because if you get anything into a truly federal arena, that means that their jobs are now on the chopping block. These people are not your friends.
Yes.
So you don't tell them none of your business. And they're not even qualified to make a lawful determination anyway.
No, they're not.
So why'd you tell them anything?
Yeah, just trying to get in, like, I'm here because,
No.
Yeah.
If you really want to get it, you keep your lip buttoned, all right? Your objective is to get in, file the complaint. That's your objective. That means that you're supposed to do everything to accomplish your objective. You did things that's going to make it a challenge to accomplish your objective.
Yeah. Gotcha.
All right, so you have some studying to do because you don't even know if you was in a federal venue,
court or not.
And you might have to take it to a whole different location now.
Yes.
Isn't one of the ways to know is that they don't have what is it that they don't have? No, that they would have is no, they wouldn't have arraignments in that court if it was federal.
No, they would not.
Right.
No.
All right. Yes. So yes, I'm just gonna go with how I did set it up last time, and just because like I said, I didn't take it in last time. My pops had to do it for me. Like I said, they didn't let me in the building. So they said he took it. The guy's like, he didn't know what I was removing, so he was like, I'm gonna give you this, and he gave me that little package and say, when you get something, show me what you're removing, then we bring it back, and, we'll go ahead and process it, whatever.
Let's just say this. Here's the thing. If this is an issue in a municipal venue, all right, those are not even court.
Yes.
All right, so there's really, you're having a hearing. Technically, you're not removing anything if it's in a municipal venue because they're not court. When they talk about removal, they're talking about removing it from like a state court to a federal court. But if you're in a municipal hearing, that's not even a court. You got to first get into a court to remove it to a federal court or even a Supreme Court. So you wouldn't be doing, you might not be doing a removal. You might be doing an all-out civil federal complaint.
Yes.
And usually the people at the federal court, they're a little bit more helpful, but even that help, it has to be taken with a grain of salt.
Exactly.
But they're a little bit more helpful, but you got to know. You got to know what you're going in there to do. You ain't going in there to ask questions. Most of these federal courts, they got everything online. So you should have already done your homework and know exactly what you're going to do. Come there with all the necessary papers because they even got samples of that. And any exchange of notes, you're supposed to already know because it's all on the website. They have it all on the internet.
Yes. And they let you come in. I ain't supposed to come in as informer, papyrus, or whatever. They let you come in if you ain't got the quote unquote money. They let you come in free of charge, I guess, or on prepaid, whatever. Basically, what the financial statement.
Well, a financial. Well, you have to. Well, you gonna have to do the. You gonna have to do the research on that.
Yeah.
Because if you do the research on that, then you'll know how to handle that.
Yeah. Because I don't want to just go in and just like, nah, we ain't gonna accept it. You're gonna, go ahead and give us the notes or whatever, and then I just got to go on from there. So.
Well, there's not even supposed to be any payment in order to get into the courts. Not really.
You're right.
And then
You're right.
and then that application, it's really, what is it? It's discretionary. Then they say, oh no, we're not gonna. After you've given them all your information, then they decide, oh no, it's discretionary. We're not gonna allow it. So now it's under their inspection.
Yes. So I see the game is kind of like the same, a little different, but kind of the same.
Look, and you better be very well versed in chess. It really is.
Yes.
This is not checkers, although I know people say, oh, checkers is not that, checkers is, somebody said to me, checkers is a very, intricate game as well. No, it's not. No, it's not.
No.
If you have ever played chess and you know what you're dealing with in this municipal situation, this is chess.
Yes.
But checkers prepares you, because at least it teaches you the board. It prepares you to become a pawn.
I don't know. I disagree.
Because it's the board. It's the board.
I disagree. The only thing that checkers and chess have in common is they can be played on the same board.
Yeah, but that's my point. See, the board is the study. The board is the first thing. The board is getting familiar with it. That's initiation to me, to first know the board, which is checkers. And then I look at the pawns on the chess as the checkers who graduated to be pawns, front line. This is all about studying, really. And then that pawn, once they're studied well, has the ability on the chessboard to go all the way across and become a queen. So, yeah, the checkerboard is the studier learning.
Well, hold on, though. What about on another level? What about Chinese checkers? Like, because on that board, it's the hex alpha. You know what I mean? That's the board. You got a 6-pointed star.
Yeah, it's always the board. You know what the board is.
This is Asiatic note, but I say this: checkers are nothing alike. I definitely tell you that, except for the board. But if you really want to get it, because the board has a lot of science in it. All those squares we talk about, standing on the square, all of these things, right? But we're talking about mathematical hieroglyphs, if you will. Whereas a hieroglyph, the double trine or the hex alpha or what they say, the Star of David or Dawu, like that's the layout for the quote-unquote Chinese checkers. So that's saying something. These games be symbolic of so many things, even the Monopoly. All of these things like have real life implications. So, yeah, that was my piece on the chess checkers. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I appreciate everything, though. Definitely appreciate everything.
You're welcome. So find out what court you're in, if it's really federal or not.
Yes. And like I said, I'm going all in on this one. So yes.
All right.
Thank you so much. Peace and love, fam.
Peace and love. All righty. Peace and love, and thank you so much. All right. Next and last caller, it seems, caller 972-839. You're live on the air.
Islam.
Islam.
All right.
Islam, family. Islam, shout out to Anthony L, RVBey, the Miz Islam, and I heard Cujo had an interview and departed. I am Abdul Malik Shakur Bey. I'm calling from northwest of Mexico, the Texas Republic territory. Once again, family, as I stated, it's good to always hear y'all voices and giving very prognostic information that the readers do their studying, bring pencil and pen. This is a class also. And write down everything and go look it up. Don't just go on one's word. Go to your Black Law Dictionary, your Unabridged Dictionary, and you look it up. No, one cannot know by one being told. One only learns and know by doing study and research. And then you will be able to know, study yourself, and then you proceed on with the true light. I'm going to read the voice of the prophet, and it's for ears to hear, and let the spirit feel what the words are saying. If you have a race pride, and love your race, join the Moorish Science Temple of America and become a part of this divine movement. Then you will have power to redeem your race because you will know who you are and your forefathers were. Because where there is unity, there is strength. Together we stand, divided we fall. Come, good people, because I, the prophet, sent to redeem this nation from mental slavery, which you have now. Need every one of you who think that your condition can be better. This is a field open to strong men and women to uplift the nation and take your place in the affairs of men. If the Europeans and other nations are helping me, why not you? It is your problem. The Negro problem is being solved only as it can, and that is by the Moorish national and divine movement. If you have a nation, you must have a free national name in order to be recognized by the nation as an American citizen. This is what was meant when it said, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all these things would be added unto you. In this age, there is still much religious controversy as to the right thing. Big and powerful ministers have come to the conclusion that something is wrong. Some say it is the 10th commandment. Others say there's a lack of sincerity in the purpose of the churches. Still, others think it is all worthless and not fit for the time it takes to attend them. However, or whatever their final decision might be, it is certain they will make a change, or rather try to make one. The fact of the matter is that they have always had only a reflection of the truth and not the real thing. Like one who holds up to the sun a mirror and casts a few of its diverted rays in a different direction. So have they done with the truth that is supposed to have come from the east. There are but a few people who know what the truth is about. man, and that few know that it is foolish to try to impart it to the ignorant. Although the ignorant has finished college, he is a fool right on, being trained to jump through a hoop. The longer he stays in the school, the better he can jump, and the more he defends his jumping. From the east come all light, but though the sun is hanging at high noon, the blind cannot see. The same as the Islamic creed from the east was brought to the Asiatics of America by the prophet Noble Drew Ali and offered to those who were sick at heart, tried many years, yet they are blind and cannot see the light. Nor is the prophet trying to put a new wine in old skins, for he knows that it will burst them. Still, he has the only remedy for the nations. Remedy brought by Jesus, Muhammad, Confucius, and all of the other prophets, which remedy is truth. What is truth? Truth is Allah. The nation do not want truth. It is too stern. But until they accept it and find out where it is, there will continue, yes, they will continue to be religious controversy. RVBey publication has a mission, and their mission is to uplift fallen humanity. Their words of wisdom come from the Second Seven Quran through study. Do not go forth without knowing which feet or foot go before the other, for you will stumble and be washed away like the tides in the ocean. We are here to uplift ourselves first of all. Then we go forth and uplift fallen humanity with the truth and the truth only. We do not add and we do not take away. For the kingdom is ours, and Noble Drew Ali brought us the light, and the light is shining not only on our outward self, but within our heart, that we will be able to raise ourselves up, and they will see the light, and they will know the light, and we will point them to the light. Islam, I relieve the flow.
Islam, peace.
All right, Islam. All righty. Well, that was our last caller.
All right.
Yes. And it is
perfect timing. Yeah.
12. And, that kind of sort of concludes our broadcast. Just want to remind everyone, let me look at my calendar and see where we are with the time. Wait a minute now. This is the third Thursday week.
Is it?
And so, yes, it is.
Yes, it's on a Wednesday this year. This month.
Yeah. This is the third. This is the third Thursday week, so that means that we've got today's broadcast, Principles of Nationality. Tomorrow we have Moor's Heritage and History School, which will only be a broadcast. We will not be at the National Theater due to weather conditions. And then Thursday we have Sons of Allah, and Sunday we have Sisters Standing on Law. So this is a full
wow. Oh, my goodness. Yes, it is a full one. All right.
All right. So with that.
Wow. Yes, Sisters Standing on Law this Sunday. You're right.
Yep.
Sons of Allah Thursday. So that means we've done Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, skip Friday and Saturday, and and Sunday. We have a broadcast.
That's right.
That's good.
That's right.
Lots of information. All right.
Right on.
All right. So that concludes this broadcast. We shall see you back here tomorrow at 7:30 for Moorish Heritage and History School. It will be broadcast only. We will not be at the National Theater. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining, for sharing, as we uplift falling humanity. Peace and love to everyone.
Islam. Peace and love.
Love.
Our problem is lack of knowledge and the intended deceit and trickery done, because even those who read the bibliothelic that you call the Bible says he shall fool even the most elite. So even those who think they're highly educated and this and that, they've been fooled. That's it. It's not really complicated.
It's the miseducation of the Negro. Everybody knows it to those who need to know. It's the miseducation of the Negro. When we rise from the dead, they call us Pharaoh. It's the miseducation of the Negro. Everybody knows except those who need to know. It's the miseducation of the Negro. When we rise from the dead, they call us Pharaoh. The gods are back. The Moors are strapped. We waking up. And we want our land back, running off, that's a trap. You know them guys don't like that. Waking up from a nap, like where the hell my crown at? Take a step back, like I know this bitch ain't bite back. It's kinda crazy how this karma it strikes back. We enslaved Islam, so they slaved us right back. We called them niggas, then they nigga this right back. We brought them to light, but they ain't bring that right back. If I was lazy, dirty dancing with the baby, then just maybe won't revolt like Haiti. I too smart, love a poor Marcus Garvey, your ass. No, but you are leading, God body the man. Now I ain't gotta be bad, and you ain't gotta be mad, but the planet is heating up, so the first I'll be last. I got that melanin, that's better than anything you ever medicine. We at your front door, wonder why you never let us in. Oh, I get it, you never wanted to put some credits in. Well, just forget it, cause I don't know if you can edit sin. We've been enlightened long before Thomas Edison. Skeletons to prove that you wasn't even relevant. In the Caucasus Mountains, cause the sun was your deficit. Captain Caveman with the plan of the Jesuits. Check my bloodline, but in time I bring the evidence. Self-governing body, so I don't need no president. Democrat, Republican, donkey versus elephant. I studied in law, so I ain't down with none of that. I self-law and master, so I'm running that. This Molotov counter burns faster, so I like the match. Despite the fact that ain't even what I'm mad at. I spit the truth, so here's the roof, so you can yeah that. My skin is brown and here's the proof, but you ain't hearing that. Dead in the eyes of the law, that's why they call you black. Naming all caps when you fall, that's why I strike back. And strike that from the record ab initio. You gon' need more than some pressure, I got a vicious flow. I can take the road to the high, or I can hit them low. Try to calcify my third eye, oh you gon' have to go. Chemtrails all over the sky, and you don't wanna know. Don't go inside of my tribe, they coming no more.
If you believe that your history started on a slave boat, I can guarantee you that's where it ended too. That's what I'm saying. Then after saying that, and so don't believe me, go back and do some studies past the 1700s, and I'll guarantee you, sure as you're sitting there listening, or wherever you are, watching, listening, you will find nothing but the word Moor, and that's another thing, because we weren't called black. That description, maybe, black or Moor or whatever, but that's it. Know the difference between a description and an actual, person, place, or thing, noun. I mean, really.
It's the miseducation of the Negro. Everybody knows it, to those who need to know. It's the miseducation of the Negro. When we rise from the dead, they call us Pharaoh. It's the miseducation of the Negro. Everybody knows except those who need to know. It's the miseducation of the Negro. When we rise from the dead, they call us Pharaoh. From the pyramids to the project, the beginning is the part they want you to forget. Implant your memory with that noose around your neck. It's the King Alpha plan and it's set in full effect. the butler, the help, and 12 years a slave. Django and Selma, they get them accolades. They made a movie called Exodus about the gods and kings with an all-white cast from Egypt. Now that's the same. They ain't never seen no movie about no European slaves. We were traveling the seas when they was living in caves. We had to civilize them, show them how to behave. In fact, we brought them light and taught them how to bathe. This is trading places with stolen identity. We agreed to be educated by our own enemy. Reverse psychology, I'ma need a lobotomy. An exorcism just to get this shit up out of me. Roz Mariah, Anna Eve, Miss Raheem, Tariq, Cujo from Cannonland. Listen to them speak. I done learned from the best. I don't need no DNA test. The nations in my womb has given from the breast. The empire's back, so you know what's next. The Moors are waking up, now you must confess. Yes, yes. The Moors are waking up, now you must confess.
Birthright theft. The whole deal was, where's my land that, for them? The whole deal was like, this is really quote-unquote promised land. This is really the quote-unquote heart of civilization. This is really what you might call Northwest Africa. That's what, and I say that to people so they can stop saying I'm going back to Africa and understand that they're in it. It's the Garden of Eden.
That's what they had in Columbus's journal that they arrived
Absolutely.
in Eden.
So what has happened is absolute lies. That's right. And the land of milk and honey is another terminology. So these things are important because as you're doing studies, and if it says the land of milk and honey, you need to know they're talking about the North American continent. If you don't know that, then you miss it. And that's part of our problem. That part of our problem is the miseducation. We have been lied to, lied to, lied to, lied to, lied to, lied to.
Welcome to Staples.
Staples guy, I have my own business, so I wear lots of hats. Now I'm wearing my office manager hat because I need supplies.
Well, Staples has everything you need.
Now I'm putting on my CFO hat because I can't overspend.
And you won't. Right now, save up to $150 on HP laptops and desktops.
All my hats, and I would like to thank you.
They are welcome.
Staples. Everything you need for business at great prices. And now save up to $150 on HP laptops and desktops. Ends 3/18/17. See store or staples.com for details. Restrictions may apply.